She goes, I want you to meet my best friend's boyfriend. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
You know?
And on the other end, I'm like, no.
No, dude. And then we met, hit it off. And I said, if I can just systemize this and bring it to the everyday weekend warrior individual, I really think that people would benefit from it. And that was the goal. Mitigate the muscle tightness and the inflammation in your muscle to then reduce the chance of you injuring yourself down the road, right? So it's really preventative work. When it comes to Estim, you're overriding the response from the brain. So you're just stimulating the nervous system. It creates a contract, relax response. That helps pump some fresh oxygenated blood flow into the muscle groups. And that will in turn loosen up the muscle and help accelerated healing. Something you can take and not necessarily feel, this crazy, anxious jitteriness, but instead you feel this kind of sustained energy buzz through your workout. And that's Voli.
Welcome back to another episode of Toast the Coast. I'm your host, Chris Smith. I'm super excited for the show we have lined up for you today. It's my good friend, Dr. Johnson. Brandon is a sports chiropractor. He's the owner of Procovry. Procovry utilizes various techniques to promote overall body wellness. He's also the co-founder of Voli. Voli is a pre-active sports drink. He's a Santa Barbara native. Most recently, a husband. Big accomplishment there.
It's a new thing, but it's going pretty well. Made it a year, right?
That is right. You just had your year anniversary.
Yeah, the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah. But with all those accomplishments, most of all, he's just a really great dude. So I'm super excited for today's episode. So what's going on, buddy?
Chris, dude, I'm stoked to have you here. Welcome in. I mean, we've now changed this little clinic into this beautiful studio, so it's quite the change. But I'm happy to talk to you, and I'm glad that you thought of me for this situation here.
Absolutely. I just love the sector that you're in right now, the health and wellness sector, and it's something that I've always dabbled in, but the most recently, and really since COVID, I've just been kind of immersing myself into the whole health and fitness industry. So it's something that's been on my radar, and watching you do what you've done and starting these two companies, which we're going to get into and dive into the details of those here shortly. But it's just been something that I wanted to sit down and talk to you about, and to be sitting here in this this beautiful facility that you guys have put together is awesome. And I know you guys grinded, and there was some dark days in here, man.
Dude, yeah, they really, they say that it takes a village to raise a child. Dude, it takes a village to start a business here in Santa Barbara. It's got a pretty face now. Everything's pretty clean and put together, but getting everything going, we really tried to budget and do it in the most economical way possible. So everything in here, obviously not everything, but a lot of things in here, we worked really hard to create. The flooring, we did all the stain, cleaned the floor, polished it, 10 coats of Zeppo. My wife and I were back and forth just screaming at each other, all the matting. It's funny because, she posts these videos on Instagram of us, smiling and having a blast. But in reality, we were, back and forth, at each other. What
was the timeline on that? Was she actually your wife, or were you guys leading up to the wedding at that point?
You know what? That's funny, right? We got engaged in October, right? And then we were set like a year and a half out to get married in August of 2021. After we got engaged, probably 5 or 6 months later, we signed the lease on this place. And then due to COVID, it was really hard to get the whole build out going, right? We couldn't have the plumber in here when the electrician was in here because of, social distancing and this and that. So it was such a process, and going back and forth, Jordan and I were saying, wouldn't it be crazy if we got married around the same time that we opened the business? That won't happen, dude. The business is going to come way quicker. Sure enough, we get married. We go down to Rancho Mirage. We're there for 3 days. We come back, and that Friday, so we got married on a Saturday, went to Rancho Mirage, came back Thursday, we started the business that Friday.
That's awesome.
And that's how it worked out.
And look at us now. We're sitting in these big, and for those of you that may be listening and not watching this, we're sitting in these huge, what are these, recliner chairs, but they're kind of like sports massage chairs.
Yeah.
And we got our feet kicked up. So this is pretty awesome, man. And I'm really proud of what you guys created.
Oh, much appreciated.
Before we jump in, though, what's funny is you and I have been trying to calendar this sit down for weeks on end now, and just due to scheduling conflicts, it wasn't really coming together. And then when we finally set a date that worked for both of us, just like most things in life, it kind of worked out perfectly, because the last time I spent some time with you was actually just about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you and I had the privilege of taking our significant others, my girlfriend, your wife,
Yep.
On a quick little mini getaway up to Lake Tahoe, and that was awesome.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so fitting to do this interview after we did that, because it really just reinforced that not only did I want to do an interview in this sector and with a new company here in town, but it reinforced the fact that I wanted to do it with you, because we've been slowly getting to know each other more and more over the years. And Santa Barbara's a small town, and we both operate businesses here locally. But to go on that trip, we set off on that trip. It was supposed to be 80 plus degrees. We're heading up to Tahoe. The water's going to be crystal clear and blue.
Oh, yeah.
And we're all jazzed. And as we're pulling into Tahoe, there's this devastating fire going on right outside of Auburn in like El Dorado Hills. And, the whole drive up is a smoke-filled valley. Lake Tahoe's got layers of smoke on it. But what really dawned on me, especially coming home from that trip, was the fact that the four of us went up there. We made some new friends, and stuff like that could really, deviate a trip. And for us, there was no negativity. I mean, we just had the most amazing time. And when you sit around people and you have these obstacles that come in and could totally change the direction of a trip, and you're sitting there having the most amazing time with these people, it really shows that you're around some good people, positive vibes, good energy, and we just made the best of it, and it ended up being an epic time.
Dude, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of silver linings there, right? Yes, there was the smoke, but on the other side of that, there was nobody on the lake. Right? It was we had this giant lake, then there was nobody on it. Getting to know your buddy Dustin was awesome, right? He was so accommodating.
Shout out to Dustin.
Yeah, dude, Dustin was a man. I mean, you take a group of people and you face them with a little bit of adversity. It would have been really easy for us to just say, bummer, dude, there's a fire. It's ruined. Maybe we get a quicker flight home. But on the other side of that, we were just nah, let's take advantage of this. And, my experience with Tahoe has always been the South Lake, casino, rage, this and that. So it was really cool that you took us to the other side, that incline area, because it was really just tranquil and beautiful. So I got to see another side of Tahoe, which was, different than what I experienced in college. So overall, great trip.
It was, I wish, it could have been clearer skies and all that, but it was a great trip. And that's definitely mine and Nikki's happy place. We love it up there. Just to share that with you guys is great. All that we have to do now is get back and take another trip up there and go experience it when there's no smoke, and get out on the trails, do some mountain biking. So we're definitely going to get that on the books, because another part of hanging out was just realizing how much you and I have in common in terms of hobbies. And we could get into that later, but from motorcycles, we both grew up in families where our childhood upbringing was going camping, going to the lake, and being outdoors. So
best.
The bond is just continuingly to grow. But anyways, I want to jump into this interview because there's a lot of great things that you're doing, and I definitely want to talk about those. But before we get going, the show is Toast to Coast. You brought a drink that you'd like to share with me on this.
Sure
so tell me a little bit about what you brought here.
So this is High Seas, and it's a Mead, right? So shout out to Austin and Ann Corrigan. This is a Santa Barbara locally owned and operated company. Yeah, we can pour it up. So prior to talking to Austin, I've heard of Mead, right? The only time I've heard of Mead was in Game of Thrones or some medieval movie where they have a big bullhorn full of mead. So I was ignorant yeah, dude. So I was ignorant to what mead is. I had no idea. So after talking to Austin, he told me, right, it's made with honey. And then what they do is, here in town, they use all fresh fruits. So they're pressing fresh fruits to make this stuff. And you can really taste it. I mean, it tastes incredible. A lot of times I try to stay away from sugary drinks, but this one, I've noticed that when I drink it, I don't really feel sick or hungover the next day. And I'm assuming it's because they use all natural and fresh fruits rather than those synthetic sweeteners. So shout out Austin and Ann. High Seas Mead here in town. Cheers.
Yep.
And
thanks for introducing me to this, because it's Santa Barbara again, right? So High Seas Mead. I'm aware of them. It's like the 1 degree of separation. A good friend of mine, Mason, shout out Mason, I think was working with Austin a little bit on this project or helping him out when
Awesome.
Austin first got going. I definitely want to have a sit down with Austin, do an interview with him, but I've been seeing his product everywhere. This is my first time having it to say it's not bad.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got that kind of honey aftertaste, which I actually really enjoy.
So let's just jump into it. We're sitting here drinking a healthy alcohol beverage, which is just like
Healthy
funny to
as
say.
it can be, right?
Right?
Yeah.
But let's just dive right in. So we're sitting here in your beautiful facility of Procovry. I've been a huge advocate of Procovry. I joined right when you guys opened. I've been coming in here doing my body wellness. You know, as you know, I've been very active with another local outfit in town, F45. We'll give a shout out to them.
Yeah.
And then I mountain bike, dirt bike, do all that stuff. So coming in here has just been great on my body. But why don't you, what is Procovry? And just tell us a little bit about what Procovry is, and then we can talk a little bit about how you came up with the idea.
Yeah. First off, shout out for being a founding member and, you know, supporting us the whole way through.
Absolutely. And thanks for the t-shirt. Look, I'm official.
Of course, man. You've been official. You should have 5 of those by now. You know, the idea behind, well, let me take it a step back. Okay. So we live in a beautiful place, right? You drive up and down Santa Barbara, you got mountains to one side, and you have coastline on the other. But something else that you notice is that the people here are beautiful, right? They're fit. They live an active lifestyle, right? So I was down in LA and I was learning all these things about health, wellness, and recovery, and how to optimize rehabbing your body after a heavy workout. And I just, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, if there's one community that could really benefit from all this stuff I'm learning, it's Santa Barbara, because everybody's out and about, right? They're hiking, surfing, running, like how many, you know, cycling clubs, running clubs, all these events that happen throughout the year. And so my goal was to basically take the professional level body work that I was learning in school and had the opportunity to work with a lot of high-end athletes. And I said, if I can just systemize this and bring it to the everyday weekend warrior individual, I really think that people would benefit from it. And that was the goal, right?
Well, and which brings me up to a good point is we'll talk about what you guys do here and kind of some of the practices and techniques you use. But I think one of the marketing, you know, ideas that's out there is you have to be this uber like athletic person and like working out and super active, but which I think is what it's geared and focused towards. But if you're just a person that's sitting at a desk all day or driving in a vehicle all day, driving truck, whatever it might be, a heavy operator of machinery, like, is this still a place you would come and get work done?
So originally, you know, it's funny how you have ideas and then when everything actually comes to fruition, what you had in your mind is never really what the actual final product's going to be, right? So in the beginning, I was like, oh, you know, Santa Barbara's got this really concentrated, you know, group of athletes, and that's who I'm going to see. I'm going to see all these athletes. But now today, Chris, like my youngest patient is 6 years old and my oldest patient is 97 years old. And I truly believe that both of them are benefiting from what we do here. And like you said, you could be a desk worker, a laborer, whatever it may be. Society kind of sets us up for failure when it comes to postural faults. Most things we do are forward and down, right? So we're constantly in this flex position, not to mention now that we have cell phones, iPads, everything we do is forward and down, right?
Yep.
So having these chronic this chronic onset of ergonomic dysfunction that creates pain throughout the body is, you know, one of the most common things, right? And what we do is not necessarily going to correct your ergonomics, but granted, we do teach people how to ergonomically fix their situations. But what it can do is reduce the tension and tightness within the musculature and bring people a lot of relief.
So before we get into exactly some of the techniques again, you're a certified chiropractor, correct?
Yeah.
Right? And you went to schooling for all that and got your doctor's degree. And, and then outside of, so someone could come in here and see you. You could get them set up depending on what their injury might be, what they're feeling in their body. But for someone like me, who occasionally sees you, but also just needs to come in and get body work from being active.
Yeah.
I come in and see what we call like a technician, right?
Yeah, one of our body techs.
And these technicians know how to use all the various techniques that we're going to talk about now.
Yeah. So when it comes to the technicians, when we break it down, not everybody needs the chiropractic side of things, right? If you have an injury, right, you were lifting heavy and your back just went boom, right? You're probably going to come see me, and I can really customize what you might need in order to get you better quicker, right? But for most people, like, someone like you, right, you're in shape and you're going to F45 and you're crushing these HIIT workouts. It comes with the territory. You're going to get tight. You're going to be sore, right? So essentially, for somebody like you, what we're trying to do is just mitigate the muscle tightness and the inflammation in your muscle to then reduce the chance of you injuring yourself down the road, right? So it's really preventative work because, you talk to any gym owner, the number one reason why people are pausing or canceling their membership is injury, right?
Absolutely.
So if we can just reduce that, maybe it's 20%, maybe it's less, but if we can reduce that even a little bit, then, hey, people are happy, healthy, and they continue going to the gym, which is a win-win not only for the gym owner, but also for the client that's going to the gym because they have a goal and they want to get to their objective.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I come in here for body wellness, but I've come in here other times where I'm going, oh my goodness, my back is so tight. Yeah. And I come in here and I'll get, the technician will work on me and I'll get like Estem. We'll do scraping, we'll do some cupping, and we'll work out those areas. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of those tools and techniques you guys use and explain what they are and why one might be interested in using them?
Yeah. So,
like, what is Estem example?
Yeah, we can start with Estem. So everything we use, in my schooling, obviously I'm a licensed chiropractor, but I focused really heavily on the sports medicine side of things. And with my school, it's called SCU down in LA, they were very strict on making sure that everything that they taught in the curriculum was evidence-based. So every protocol and every modality that we use here has some evidence-based backing to it. When you talk about electronic muscle stimulation, it's been used for years and years, right? A lot of people have had a TENS unit put on their body. So what we do is we have what's called an IFC current, which is going to go deeper into the tissue. You feel it. It really gets it going. And basically, when it comes to Estem, you're overriding the response from the brain. So you're just stimulating the nervous system. It creates a contract, relax response. That helps pump some fresh oxygenated blood flow into the muscle groups. And that will in turn loosen up the muscle and help accelerated healing. There's also one more component to it. Best way to put it, right? It's called mechanoreception, right? If you get stung by a bee, the first thing you do, you slap it, you go, oh, that little fucker, right? But after that, you rub it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the reason you rub it is because it's stimulating mechanoreception, right? And mechanoreceptors override nociceptive pain fibers. So STIM works to do the same thing. Stimulates the contraction, which activates mechanoreceptors, overrides your pain sensation as well.
So then you tie that into the cupping or the scraping and kind of the massage, and essentially what are you doing? So how does the Estem differ from the cupping? So the cupping is drawing that same blood and oxygen to the muscles as well, just in a different...
So basically everything we do is to try to maximize fascial release and fresh oxygenated blood flow. Anything you're going to look at in order to accelerate healing, right? The body needs fresh oxygenated blood, and it needs to have the muscle tension turned down a little bit, right? So it's not super tight. So when it comes to cupping, dude, I could honestly talk for hours.
Let's do it, because I come in here and embarrassingly, I don't even know what's going on. I just know I feel great, and I'm able to go work out again the next day. I'm able to go mountain bike. I'm able to go surf. In the winter, I'm able to go snowboard. Dude, I could work out to the day I leave and then go snowboard, and I'm not sore.
Exactly what we want, right? And for the client and the patient, that's what we want. We want you to be able to continue doing what you're passionate about and really maximize that. And if we can contribute to that in any way, that's the biggest success I'll ever have, right? When it comes to cupping, cupping's been used for thousands of years in Chinese medicine. Western medicine said, this is kind of hooey, right? We don't know about this. Yeah. In the early 2000s, there were a few Olympic athletes in the U.S. Olympic team that were kind of requesting this service. They said, hey, we've had cupping from acupuncturists. We really enjoyed it. We want this service. So apparently the U.S. Olympic Committee started doing it might have been a third party, but they started doing research on cupping. And they found that cupping is really effective, breaking up fascial tension and bringing blood flow to muscle groups. And that's why in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, you saw all these swimmers with the cupping marks on them, and the world went crazy. They were like, what is this? What is this?
Yeah.
And everybody that had seen an acupuncturist was like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what that is. But yeah, so kind of in regards to Western medicine, sports medicine per se, the last 10, 15 years, cupping's become really popular.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I'm like walking down the beach or by the pool at the gym after I come in here and get cupping.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I feel weird. They're all looking at me and I don't look like this crazy beast of an athlete and I got these cupping all over me. I look like a kook.
It's so funny because you get people on both sides. Like there's times where like I don't even feel like it's necessary to cup somebody, and they'll be like, can you throw some cups
Can you throw some marks on me?
yeah. And like, is it an aesthetic thing, or are we really going to help with the tissue healing here? Yeah.
So would you say that what would be the like frequency that someone should come in? And let's take like your average person, someone that's going to the gym 3 to 5 days a week, and maybe they're hiking, I don't know, they hike, they surf, or they have one hobby outside of going to the gym a couple days a week.
Yeah.
Is that person coming in once a week, once a month, once every 10 days?
So that's really hard to say because what I always say is everybody's different and every body is different, right? So it really just depends. I became super frustrated in school because I worked under a lot of docs and I learned a ton. Nothing bad to say about any of them, but some of the models that I really became frustrated with was basically intaking a patient or client and then telling them that I need to see you 4 times for 3 weeks, 2 times for 2 weeks after that, and then every month for a year, like that kind of stuff. Because the answer to that question that you asked previously is really, it's going to be based off of how much relief they feel after they receive our service. And number 2, how long are they going to live in that pain-free range before, they start to come back to this baseline? So I will say, to answer your question, on average, somebody who's really active benefits from seeing us at least twice a month.
Yeah, and that's about where I'm at. And the one thing I noticed when I first started with you guys and wasn't really asking questions and just was like, okay, I'm really, working my body pretty hard. I should probably give it some love. I'm not a young buck anymore. I just turned 42, so I'm like trying to prolong my life here. But
you are a young buck.
when I would come, I found myself coming in like maybe I'd go to F45 and then I would switch over and I would go to the athletic club and I would do like some heavy lifts like I used to way back in the day.
Yeah.
And then I'd have this extreme soreness and I'd be like, oh, that's the trigger. I need to go see Brandon. I need to head out to Procovry. And then what I've realized over time is that's not necessarily the time when I need to come. And maybe it is good. Maybe it's not great to come when you're that sore. But if I just come regularly, I feel like my muscles could handle the transition in those workouts and they're more ready to take it on. Does that make sense?
100%. And what I always tell people, if you're using us in that oh shit moment.
Yeah, Thank you. I didn't want to say that.
Honestly, that's the best way I could describe it. Right? If you're using us in the oh shit moment, it might be a little late. Not to say that we can't help. But when I talk to people, I say that we really need to emphasize that check engine light, right? That's when you go get your car service. You don't wait for the full seizure of the engine before, then you have it towed in, right?
Yeah.
At that point, it might be a little late, but obviously the mechanic's still going to help you. But when it comes to the check engine light, for most people, especially people that have episodic, acute episodes of low back pain, for most people, it's isolated hip tightness in the front, right? So they'll wake up one morning or they'll do some sort of activity and they'll say, oh man, my hip is killing me. And for a lot of people, that hip tightness then equates to a full lockup of their back. But everybody, if you're in tune with your body, right, and you're an active person, right, you do all these things, whether you're on the mountain, whether you're skating on a cycle or riding a dirt bike, you're in tune with your body and like if something's off. And I tell people whatever that feeling is that's off, that's when you come see us, right? Because if you wait for that off feeling to then kind of manifest into this full scale acute lockup, it's going to be tougher to get you back to a baseline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
talking to you about this is like so refreshing. And I could tell that you could go so deep, but I would just be sitting here in this beautiful chair and I would just be like, put the massage on me because you've lost me, right?
Yeah, man, I love
and
talking
you could get
about it.
so deep. And
out.
I mean, clearly your knowledge is like above and beyond most the general population. And that's why we need people like you to come in here and work on us. And you're right, man, Santa Barbara, like what a great place to be in the health and fitness industry. I used to joke around and say there's more gyms and, you know, like you said, cycle centers or whatever you want to call them, than there are probably like bars in this town.
Yeah,
it's
bars
insane,
and liquor stores. It's great, dude. That's how it's like a community should be. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, man, like working out. I mean, even going back and like talking about Tahoe, right? Like it was so refreshing to be up there with you guys. And I bring that up because it's just great to be around positive, like motivated people and having those conversations. It's very refreshing to me, and I assume it's very refreshing to someone like yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that we're spoiled in Santa Barbara because I think that unlike what society wants to tell us and the powers that be, that one of the main ingredients to like ultimate like health and well-being is exercise, man.
Oh,
like
dude.
it's, you know, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I could just tell you in my own life,
Oh
like,
my gosh, yeah.
let me tell you, like, I've been off and on my whole life with working out, and I probably didn't have the proper relationship with working out in my younger days. You know, it was like working out because I was playing a specific sport, or I wanted to look jacked on the beach or in college or whatever.
Yeah.
And then kind of had my up and downs as you're starting a career and starting real life. But you go into this period, like I said, now at 42 years old, and I take my health and wellness very seriously now. I like research a lot. And, you know, research is obviously easy with modern technology.
Oh, dude.
But at this point in my life, like, I don't do it for the vanity at all anymore.
Yeah.
I literally am addicted to what it does to my psyche and my mind every single day.
Yeah.
And getting up and doing something, like if I get up and I can't make it to the gym, I feel like I'm not prepared to like represent myself, represent my clients. It's a weird feeling. And that's working out for your overall mental wellness and health is so amazing and so great to be addicted to, because the side effects are obviously you start to look better and you start to feel better and all those things. But
exponential, dude.
it's wild.
Yeah. You know, you're all about making good deals, right? You're all about good investments. You're an awesome dude, and you want to make your clients happy by giving them the best deal they can get, right? Well, you know, when we really break it down to making a good investment, one of the biggest and most important investments that should be in every player's life is their body. Dude, like, it's a trip to think about. This is it.
Yeah.
This is what you have, and no matter what kind of empire you build, you might take it to the moon, but the fact is, Jeff Bezos has one body.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elon Musk has one body, right? And at some point, that body will wither, it will be in pain, and then it will pass.
Man, it's so important. And, you know, I'm dealing with some family members right now that haven't done the best at taking care of their family. And I'm saying, you need to figure out how to become addicted to some sort of exercise or just moving, even a long walk, a brisk walk or something, because what it does for your mind is amazing. And it is no way to live a life, man, to not feel good about yourself, not being able to, you know, go on a walk with your grandkids or do all these things that you want to be able to do when you're 60, 70, 80 years old. And there's a lot of people having a lot of success in those years, right? In those twilight years. So that's what I strive to do. And, you know, being around, like I said, people like you, and just being in a culture like Santa Barbara is a breath of fresh air. It really is.
Dude, I'm with you. You know, and when unfortunately, the U.S. deals with pretty much the highest rates in the world of anxiety, depression, this and that, but we also counter that with some of the laziest people, right? I don't know about you, but if I'm feeling super anxious or uncomfortable or just unhappy as a whole, and I go like to jiu-jitsu or crush a workout, the second I leave that place, I mean, 99% of the time, I'm going to leave that place and I'm going to feel exponentially better than I did walking into it. And that really is just the neurotransmitters and endorphins and everything that's released during exercise. So I think exercise is something that's so important for anybody and everybody.
Or depression. I mean, I'm not one to here to dig down, and I don't have the degrees to talk about this stuff.
That's a whole other hour of conversation. Yeah.
I mean, I experience the smallest amount of what depression must be like.
Yeah.
And I go for a workout, and it is gone.
Yeah.
Cleared, gone,
Yeah.
done.
Oh, likewise. Yeah. I'm granted, I'm sure there are people who exercise regularly and still suffer with this and that. But for a large population, at baseline, at the end of the day, exercise is going to equate to a better outcome.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if we could give one message right here during this conversation, it's like, take care of yourself, right? People, take care of yourself and come in here and see Brandon and the team and take care of your body.
Dude, when it comes to messages, like, that's why we started our supplement and health and wellness line, right? Is the whole idea behind that is that we just want people to move. How can we motivate people to move?
Yeah.
You know?
Let's talk about that, actually. So, and by the way, this high seas, shout out to Austin, right? I need to meet Austin because I'm over here. I'm going to pour a little more of this.
It's going down easy, huh?
It's going down easy, and it's pretty good. I mean,
it is good.
We'll see how it feels in the morning. Maybe I'll do a little Instagram post in the morning.
Dude, I'm telling you, if I drink sugary drinks, I usually don't feel very well, but this one...
You mean like White Claws?
Dude, White Claws, the second you sip it, you know that it's like drinking chemicals. You know that you're not going to feel good. If you're drinking White Claws, you're not going to have one, you're going to have 8.
I steer clear of those, man.
Yeah, good call.
Let's jump over real quick. Because we could talk about Procovry and you could get deep into this, but
definitely.
I do love it here. I come here at least every 10 days, get my body worked on. I feel great. It's definitely helping me out. I'm a big advocate of coming here and seeing you guys. And I love what you guys have done with the place. But you've also branched out and you're co-founder of a company called Voli.
Yes. And
Voli is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a pre-active.
Yeah.
I'm also taking Voli.
Okay.
I've never been a pre-workout guy. I've tried pre-workouts at various times in my life. I always get the way too much of the tingle, maybe a little bit of anxiety, uneasiness, or some combination of that, depending on maybe if I didn't eat or did eat that morning or afternoon. And the no matter what, the effect was just never that great for me.
Yeah.
But, of course, you being a friend and starting this awesome company.
And you being a supportive friend.
I had to try it, and I tried it, and I was like, okay, well, this stuff clearly doesn't work because I drank it and didn't feel anything.
You didn't feel anything.
But then I'm midway through my workout, and I'm like, wow, I'm going like super hard right now, and I'm not getting tired. So I'm taking it like pretty much before every workout in the morning.
Awesome.
And I work out around 6 to 7 a.m., and I take it in the morning, and it's been great. So tell me a little bit. You guys labeled as a pre-active. Yep. What is a pre-active? What is a pre-workout? And let's just get into what is Voli? How did it get started? Where did it come from?
It's so funny because everything you just described was like, I feel like I could have just scripted that for you to say, right? Because that's our target market. Voli started, in 2019. I graduated from school. I had just started a job. I felt like, I don't have the energy like I used to, right? To go through a full day of work and then hit the gym. So I started taking a bunch of pre-workout, and everything you just described I experienced, right? So it'd be 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take pre-workout, I'm going to go to jiu-jitsu, or I'm going to take pre-workout, and I'm going to go to some HIIT training class. And then all of a sudden, I chug this pre-workout, I get to jiu-jitsu, or I get to this HIIT class, and I'm like, dude, class hasn't even started, and my heart is beating through my chest, right? And most of these pre-workouts are designed to be heavy stim, heavy vasodilators. So if you're going to do a 1 max, clean, bench press, squat, that's perfect. But if you're going to do anything cardio intensive or distance duration,
get your heart really pumping on its own.
Then your heart's redlining. So it's not ideal. So kind of fast forward, my close friend, brother to me, his name's Matt Stiff. He and I kind of were experiencing the same thing at the same point in life. We grew up together across the street. I used to walk over to his house, eat dinner all the time, like a brother who's my best man in the wedding. So we kind of both had this bone to pick with pre-workout. And so we got to chatting, and I was like, dude, I feel like I could just order all this stuff and just kind of like play chemist in my kitchen, and we'll come up with something sick. And we got talking back and forth, and he was like, oh man, if we could just like put it in an effervescent tablet and just like drop the tablet in the water, it fizzes up. So we were foolish to think that we could just take any sort of formula, put it in a tablet, make it work. We ended up calling the product Pucks. And we came out with our original formula, which I loved, but getting it into a tablet was just not going to happen. So about, we started making it, we started selling it, and it was sold in these these brown little packets, right? And we would sell them, and we'd pray. We'd be like, all right, I hope this doesn't react in the bag, because if the customer gets it and it looks like a balloon by the time they get it, we're screwed, dude. So every time we would send out these packets, we'd be like, please, please, please. We'd get a picture of the packet that looked like a balloon. So that was a problem. For a while, I didn't see much ground being covered. Him and I still had this idea and wanted to pursue it, but it was becoming more and more difficult. We both didn't want to throw too much money into it. So this past year, Matt was teaching tennis to this awesome dude, and it's been such a blessing since he's come in. But basically, he liked the product. He felt like it was really effective for him. So he invested in the company. And he could have very easily been this kind of silent investor, but instead of being a silent investor, he ended up being just like an awesome guy, a mentor. He's kind of groomed us and guided us the entire way. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't know if he really wants to be included. We can call him Uncle C. He is the man. He's taught us so much. And basically when he came on board, we rebranded Pucks to Voli with the ambition of creating something that's geared towards cardio or distance duration athletes, or just like an everyday coffee replacement. And it's got sourced ingredients that are good for you, dude. It's everything in there is evidence-based. We don't fill it with crazy additives. There's no proprietary
it's
blend.
only got a few ingredients, right?
Yeah, it's got like 6 ingredients, dude. Yeah. So it's really everything you need to kind of push you through a workout, and really you're going to feel it in that fourth quarter. You, like you said, you're like, oh, I took it and didn't do anything, right? And that is exactly what we were searching for. Something you can take and not necessarily feel, this crazy anxious jitteriness, but instead you feel this kind of sustained energy buzz through your workout. And that's Voli.
Well, and what's crazy is, it's funny what you just said. You said something about coffee. Because I take it in the morning as I'm driving to the gym. By the time I get there and get warmed up, I feel like it's kind of kicked in. I work out. And then when I'm leaving the gym, I don't feel like I have this like crazy, like with the pre-workout, right? Yeah. I feel like I could just go on with my day and it's very normal. Yeah. But I don't have a crash. I don't have a fall off. It just like powered out a very healthy workout. Mm-hmm. And then I get to go on with my day. My mind is not scattered like it would be from a pre-workout. Yeah. And I continue on with my day. What I was doing in the beginning was then I would go home, I would shower, I'd get my coffee, and I'd go to work, right? Like typical, like just programmed to do that. Yeah. What I finally figured out, that I was getting up so early, working out really hard, that by 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I had this kind of like crash, right? Yep. Not from the volley, just from being up and
if you start your day before the sun comes up.
What I figured out now is I take the volley in the morning, I work out, I go home, I get my shower, I get to work, I start working, and now if I have a long, aggressive work day, I have my cup of coffee around like 1 or 2. Yeah. And I don't know if that if fasting makes a difference, but I usually don't eat my first meal until about 12 to 2 either. Yeah. So then I drink my coffee around that like 12 to 2 mark, between 12 and 2. And then that gets me through the rest of my workday.
It's funny. We have a lot in common, dude. You basically described my morning and my day. I use Voli in the morning. And then, I'll usually sometimes I'll do a second one, to be honest with you. But other times I'll drink coffee in the afternoon. And that kind of, gets me through the rest of my day. When it comes down to it, being able to reduce your caffeine intake is going to be optimal, right? So Voli, unlike other pre-workouts, only has about 1 cup of coffee worth of caffeine, which is nice. And then other things that keep you going are the B vitamins. We also added some electrolytes because we wanted to be a company that kind of caters to or boosts duration and distance athletes, right? So if you're going to be taking caffeine and you're going to be working out, you should have electrolytes to keep you hydrated, right? Because that's when we're sweating. That's when that's when we're losing all our salts and electrolytes.
And I love it. If you're just listening to this on the podcast and you can't see the video or you're in your headphones or whatever, I just pulled out the bag of Voli to give an example here. It comes in this awesome little package, great branding. And then in the package, I think does it come with 10 or 20 of these?
10 in there.
Yeah, it comes with 10 of these individually packed little deals. You just rip it open, you pour it in water. In the morning, the trick is I have my water bottle. I only fill about half the water bottle up, pour it in there, so I'm not bloated off water. I drink that down, have my workout, sip my water the rest of the time throughout the workout, and it works out great. So you could also, like if I go on a mountain bike ride, I take one of these, toss it in my backpack halfway through, climb to the, halfway up the climb, start taking some of the Voli. So I love the packaging. I love the product. It's great. I heard a rumor, then obviously like
Santa Barbara Citrus, dude.
Keeping it local.
Yeah,
you're
of course.
Santa Barbara Citrus for the first one. I hear you're coming out with a new flavor.
We're working towards a new flavor. We're in R&D now. Spoke with my partner. There's a chance instead of coming out with a new pre-active flavor, we've been really working on a hydration supplement, and we're really stoked on it. So eventually we will come out with another flavor of that, and it'll be called Beachside Berry. But we are working on a hydration multiplier, and we think that we have something that's pretty innovative. Liquid IV is kind of cornered the market on hydration, right? But there are some flaws in that formula, sugar content being one of the biggest ones. That's why people stray away from it. I don't know exactly, but I think it's got like 10 or 11 grams of sugar in it. So our goal is to create something that offers as much as liquid IV, if not more, because I think there's a lot of things that could have been added to that formula, which we are going to add. But at the end of the day, to answer your question, Beachside Berry will be the next one, and we are working on a hydration multiplier as well.
Awesome. I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah.
Another thing I just thought of is in the motocross world, right? The guys experience something what's called arm pump, and it's where you have too much blood flowing through like your forearms. You can't hold on to your bars. It's craziest pain ever. Yep. It's a swelling in the forearm essentially. And so you never really, motocross is like one of the gnarliest endurance sports in the world. So you think you'd want to take a pre-workout or do something to help you in that moment, right?
Yeah.
Well, pre-workouts and all that make what could potentially become arm pump worse. So what I will say to all my moto fellas out there, Voli doesn't do that. Yeah. So I could take Voli, I could have that extra energy when I'm riding the bike, and I don't have that arm pump.
That's awesome.
And so just another shout out on the Voli, because I love this stuff, man. It's great.
Much
I've been waiting for a product like that to come out.
Yeah.
And especially to support a small business.
Yeah. And to go back, you had asked me previously the difference between pre-workout and pre-active.
Yes.
So pre-active, we've essentially made that up, right? And ideally, like when Matt was actually the individual who said, "Why don't we call it pre-active?" And like when he said that, I was like, "Boom!" Like, why does it always have to be pre-workout? Like we're not always going to work. Like when I go do things that I'm passionate about, like when I go to jiu-jitsu, you go on a dirt bike ride, you're not saying I'm going to work out.
Yeah.
You say I'm going to go rip the trails and like have a blast. Right? You're being active, right? And pre-workout is geared towards lifting heavy weight in the gym. So why do we not have a product that's geared towards
being
supporting and catering to being active?
Love it.
Right? So
love it.
Pre-active.
That's so good.
Shout out to Matt Stiff on that one.
Yeah, and shout out to Matt. And Matt's a great dude.
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
I wish he could be here with us. I mean, we're definitely...
We'll communicate at some point. Yeah.
I feel like there's a big future for you guys, so we're gonna have some more sit downs, and we'll get Matt here.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know he's been your best friend. He was the best man in your wedding, and you guys have done some incredible stuff together at such a young age. So, and I love everything you guys are doing. Like I've been saying, I'm a big advocate of it, and I'll continue to support you guys. I love people, just going for it, man. It's been awesome to see, and I love both your products.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, you've been nothing but supportive. And honestly, getting to know you, we didn't even dive into the fact that neither of us wanted to meet each other. You know, like my
This could be another podcast, man.
dude, she was my girlfriend at the time. She goes, I want you to meet my best friend's boyfriend. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
You know?
And on the other end, I'm like, no.
No, dude. And then we met, hit it off. We have so much in common. We could go into that story for hours. So we just keep going.
No, well, and we both have great girls, and we, you know, kudos to them for putting up with us. But yeah, they're definitely responsible for bringing us together. What I will say, though, this is going to probably go down as one of the best episodes ever as far as like comfortability and conversation. Like we're here lounging out in these big chairs. And for those of you who can't see us, we have these, what are these called?
These are called Normatec compression
These
units.
things are amazing. I'm like so comfortable right now. I'm losing focus.
Yeah, you can very easily take a quick snooze.
So what do these do? You put these on me every time I come in, after I get my work done.
Yes.
And sometimes I get the hip one, which I love. But today we're sitting in these like big long leggings that have a lot of compression.
Yeah.
And what is this doing?
So essentially, I mean, many people have had massages, right? You get a massage and they tell you, hey, drink plenty of water after this massage. And it's because when you work through soft tissue, especially soft tissue that's sore, and you do real deep tissue work, you're going to release free radicals into the bloodstream. These free radicals are things like bradykinin, prostaglandins, all these things that create inflammation. And if there enough of them are released, you can actually feel sick, right? That's why they say drink plenty of water. You might feel a little sick after your massage. What this does is essentially lymphatic drainage. It pumps all these free radicals into the bloodstream so then your body can more effectively filter them out. These are great for athletes for what's called DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. You have a heavy workout. Sometimes you wake up the next day, you're like, oh, I'm not that sore. 48 hours later, you're like, dude, I can't even walk, right? So effectively, if you can get this done, you know, within a few hours after your workout, it can help to reduce or mitigate the onset of delayed muscle soreness. Yeah.
Yeah, and this, I mean, I love these things.
Oh,
they totally work, man.
I'm with you.
And, but I think it's pretty funny that we're just sitting here enjoying a podcast, drinking I guess the healthiest alcohol could get for you, a High Seas. I mean,
come on, tell me you're not cozy.
Was this that when you said, you know, you start out with an idea and then it always like takes its own path? Was this the idea at the beginning, sitting here with these on, drinking High Seas Mead?
Honestly, when I thought about doing it, I'm not a big, you know, speaking in front of cameras and this and that. I thought I was going to be kind of tucked away, but no, I'm feeling good. You know, can't complain with this.
Well, again, man, just amazing to see that you came in. I remember when you had the idea of Procovry. I didn't really understand it. I fallen in love with it as soon as I started getting my treatments done.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you throw out this thing called Voli, which was pucks in the beginning. Now we know it as Voli. Really enjoying that product. I mean, like, kudos to what you're doing and everything you're doing. But I want to talk to you a little bit about just like, you know, who you are outside of this. Obviously, we learned a little bit, and obviously people could see your education and how passionate you are about health and fitness. Obviously, did this just stem from like, were your parents super active? Did you just like through sports and when you're young, like where did it come from and how did you have the focus to be like, to get where, I mean, you're still in your late 20s. I think you're about to turn 30.
29, I'll be 30 in January.
But I mean, to be where you're at now, this is something that, you know, didn't happen overnight. And I know from stories I've heard that you've always been, you know, an athlete. You've been very active. So was it just something that you like gravitated and held on to?
You know, what's funny is as a young kid, I'm talking from the ages of like 6 to 12, had a lot of extra weight on me. To the point where, like, I'd go to the doctor for my physical before YFL football, and the doctor would say, you know, he's a little more than healthy now, you know, he should lose a little weight.
See, these are the things I didn't know about you.
Yeah, so I am a fat kid at heart. You know, I really love to eat, and, you know, it wasn't until I was probably 12 or 13 where I was like, dude, I just don't want to be that kid anymore. And it hit me really hard in 7th grade. I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. And then I got really hooked into fitness and exercise, and it actually progressed when I got to high school. because they had the weight room there, and I just got so intrigued with the idea of building fitness and becoming more fit. There's a lot of things in your life that you cannot control. All right, and those are intimidating, scary factors in life. Like, you have no control over them. But your own body and your own fitness, that is complete control. And for something in my mind, right, school didn't come easy for me. Math, English, I was really slow in the whole reading process. I had tutors. I was almost held back in elementary school. But what really resonated with me was science, dude. And then in high school, I took a sports medicine class. Shout out to Mr. Todd Garrett. It was a sports medicine kinese class, and I was like, boom, light bulb. Like, this is where I belong. And I knew it right then. I knew that I wanted to work with people. I wanted to be able to help people. Turned 18, started training as a personal trainer. Then went to college. I was training people through college. Went to Chico State, Harvard of the West. Played.
Is that what you guys call it?
Yeah, Harvard of the West. I played rugby there. Met a fabulous group of guys. And I majored in exercise physiology. So the whole time going through, it was all biomechanics, physiology, anatomy, and I was eating it all up. I loved it. But the whole idea of being a chiropractor, wasn't really in my scope at that time. I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. And now I'm really going on a tangent, but I'm going to keep going with it. Come junior year of college, I had been shadowing all these PT offices, and I said to myself, dude, I don't think I want to do this. I didn't like it. I would go in there, nobody was excited to be there, and it just wasn't the environment that I thought it was going to be. So I went back to my counselor, end of my junior year, and I said, hey, I think I'm going to switch my major to business. Right? I'd already done all these classes, and I loved it. I knew I was passionate about it, but I just didn't know where I was going to go from there.
Yeah, you didn't know the path.
Yeah, because when it comes to exercise physiology, kinesiology, you don't just graduate and have another a job lined up. There's really nothing unless you go into the fitness realm. So talked to him, and he said, hey, why don't you go intern or shadow this guy named Dr. Ed Rogers? He's a chiropractor. And I had seen a chiropractor in the past because I injured my back pretty bad when I was 14, but it was kind of out of the light. I didn't even think about it. And I said, okay, I'll go shadow this guy in Chico. And Dr. Ed Rogers happened to be the father of quarterback Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers. And he had an awesome clinic, dude. And everybody would come in ear to ear, or, cheek to cheek, grin on their face. And just everything he did in there, I was like, I could see myself doing this, right? So I spoke with him after interning. I interned with him for probably 5-6 months. And after a week, I was like, this is what I want to do, for sure. I know that this is my path. So that was moving in my senior year. I applied for chiropractic school, did all the interview processes, and got in. And then it was another 4 years after that. Chiropractic school got pretty rough. A lot of people don't realize the amount of actual schooling chiropractic is. Essentially, it was my 4 years undergrad, and then another almost 4 years of postgraduate, and it was a lot.
But during that postgraduate, you were back in Santa Barbara, or were you commute? Because that was in LA, right? The postgraduate.
Yeah. So it was in Whittier. We called it shittier. But
shout out to Whittier.
Yeah.
But during that time, so did you do Whittier and then come and get your first job in Santa Barbara?
Yeah.
Or were you kind of interning?
So I started my program in August of 2015, and then didn't come back to Santa Barbara until May of 2018, but I hadn't finished school yet. So basically the first 2 years are all these basic sciences, and then you go into chiropractic practices. I kind of emphasize and specialize in sports medicine, so I was privileged enough to make it into the sports medicine honors program. So everything was kind of sports medicine based with chiropractic on the side. And then what was called preceptorship, which is what I was allowed to do in 2018, came back into Santa Barbara and actually ended up working for a guy named Dr. Mark Brisby. And he, growing up, that's the clinic that I went to.
Yeah, he's like the local name,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
the
like
brand,
kind of the the original.
So that was amazing, great training, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I learned a lot from Dr. Brisby. It was a great experience, and we had good symmetry there. Dude, I just, at the end of the day, I felt like I really wanted my own thing.
When you saw that this is a little different, right?
It's totally different.
And you saw this need.
Yeah, I saw the need, and at first I was trying to kind of convert that situation into what I viewed here, and he was kind of allowing me to kind of expand on certain ideas, and then COVID happened, and I just thought to myself, like, I always had this vision in my mind. I always wanted to make my own kind of entity. I wanted something that I started from the ground up. And COVID was kind of the perfect exit there. And him and I have a good relationship now. We've talked, we've gone back and forth, and I definitely learned a lot from Dr. Mark Brisby. Yeah.
Well, and there's certain people that are meant to do that, and those moments in life are scary, right? Because you have something that's so great, you're learning so much, and to walk away from that and take on this huge risk, I'm assuming a huge debt out of the gate to do this.
Yeah.
Is wild to some people, but to people like yourself, you're like, man, this is what I want, and I can go for it. And I'm young, and and if it doesn't work, at least I know I tried, and I'm never gonna. You didn't want to live your life always wondering.
Yeah, 100%.
And I respect that. I mean, it just leads me to think about, like, the times that we've spent together kind of over the years through our girlfriends, especially this most recent trip to Tahoe has really put it on my mind. And just kind of the business talks that you and I have had since you've kind of been starting this company. And, I'm kind of like in the prime of my career as well. So we always enjoy these conversations with one another.
Oh, but, and I do view you as like a mentor, just so you know. You're like, you've become a close friend of mine, but also like just picking your brain has been a comforting, and not only comforting, but just like a light that I can kind of lean towards. And all your input on everything that I have to say, because you've been through a lot of it, has been nothing but helpful. So I really appreciate you, not as a friend, but as a person, and for what you've kind of given me in my life. So thank you, Chris, honestly.
I appreciate that. That means a lot, because I think one of the biggest, one of the best things you could do in life is like just give back and offer knowledge and share and talk, because when you find yourself sharing and having these talks, not only do you have the ability to potentially help someone else that may or may not be listening, but you're constantly growing in that moment as an individual too. So thank you for that. But it's funny that you say that, because one of the things that I'll say is it's been awesome to see all that you've accomplished. And I know you have so much more on your schedule, and with Matt especially, and with the Voli, I can't wait to see where that goes. But you've been an inspiration as well, even though we're years apart in my current life, and I'm hoping an inspiration to other people. And what I mean by that is, I feel from what I know about you that you've been incredibly balanced in your life. Like, here you are at 29, about to be 30. You are now about to celebrate your year anniversary here at Procovry, October 1st.
Yep.
You just passed your 1 year anniversary with your beautiful wife Jordan.
Yep.
I'm not sure how long Voli's been in, but but you have that going on nonetheless.
Yep.
And what I'll say is, you have had no shortage of amazing, great times and social interaction in your life.
Yeah.
Meaning, somehow you've been able to do what young college kids having fun do, and go to the lake and go on ski trips and have some great parties and some good times and make some great memories and good laughs. But somehow you've been able to stay focused to get here today. And that's not the path I took in my life, and I don't want to dig down into my path, but
everybody's different.
But you've been able to I guess the word that we use nowadays is called FOMO, right? And you've been able to somehow ride those lines and stay focused, yet have an amazing life and balance those two. So whether you know that or not, that's been an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to others, because somehow you've gotten this far. And when I look at you, I go, that guy has an amazing life. And it's because sometimes you look at someone and you go, man, they're so successful. And then you look and go, but man, they haven't had a life. Or someone that's had a little too much life and they all have nothing going for them, right?
Yeah, we talked about that.
So I just like to say that it's been awesome to see everything that you've put together. And look, no doubt that no one does these things on their own, right? And I'm sure you've had help along the way, but at the end of the day, it's the individual. Yeah. And I'm sure having a supportive wife, supportive family.
Oh gosh, the amount of support that I have received. Anything else you
No, that's it.
That was one thing that I needed to touch on, was the fact that like everything that has been created, everything you see here, Voli, right? Like, yeah, I have these ideas and these aspirations, but like at the end of the day, I think why we've been able to continue to prosper and continue to grow is, for myself personally, it's not me, it's the network of individuals that have been built around me, right? Like you talk about, my wife is just, she's incredible, dude. Like, and when it comes to Procovry, she is the stallion, or the workhorse in this place. She does all of the back end work. She promotes it. She does all the marketing. And even with Voli now, I've been so happy to see her prosper and to put on multiple hats, and she's learning new skills and she's excelling and she's driven. And I think that's why I've loved her for so long, is because she shares, I mean, we share all these different passions, right? But the biggest thing is she has this innate drive that just couples and parallels mine. Like I said, like I might have this idea, but I'm not always the best individual at going from A, B, C, D down the line. And Jordan is the epitome of that. Like Jordan is like, okay, if this is our goal, these are the 25 steps that we need to take in order to achieve that goal. And she lines them up, and then I just like try to run through them, and it's incredible. And Matt is actually the same. Matt is like this, Matt Stith, the co-founder of Voli, is like this voice of reason, right? Like, I have these ideas, and Matt would be the first one to tell me why that idea sucks.
Yeah. And then, we need those people. You and I are the dreamers.
Dude, yeah. Yeah. And Matt will be like, this is why that's a terrible idea. And I'm like, well, damn it, Matt. Like, your points are so much better than mine. And it's so important. And Matt has had a huge role, not obviously in Voli. Like, he's the CEO. Like, in Voli, that's Matt's bread and butter. And I'm doing everything I can to support and work with him to grow this thing as far as we can get it. With Procovry as well, like when I had questions, especially financial things, he has been the shoulder to lean on to kind of achieve all those things. When it comes down to it, like to go full circle, the network of people that are around me have been the cause of the fruition of the success that we've had. 100%. Not only Matt, not only Jordan, the staff we have here is incredible. My brother-in-law is working for me. One of my best friends, John Dickinson, is working for me. A new guy that I met in jiu-jitsu is working with us. And these guys are just so full of life and so eager and so ambitious. And the team that we've put together is absolutely incredible. Not to mention Jordan's parents, my in-laws, incredibly supportive, and my parents as well have helped us along the way. And our friends that have just been supportive and with us every step has been nothing but a blessing.
Yeah, well, people want to help good people, right?
Yeah.
And people that try, and so you're one of those people that people see that and they want to help, and you're surrounded by great people, and it's just great to hear. Again, going back, like you are very aware that this isn't all you. You might have some ideas, but it takes a team, and I think that's what builds great character. But it's funny because you and I live. The more and more we talk, we live parallel lives, dude. Because I'm like,
it's crazy.
I'm gonna do this,
yeah,
and Nikki's like, well, you can't just go from there to there. You need to do all these things, or my partner in my business, right? Like I have these crazy ideas, but I can't do the little tasks to get there. So I need those helps. And it's how you got to put the right team together. And when the right team comes together, it's like sports.
Yeah.
When you can't have all home run hitters.
Oh, no.
You know?
No, you need somebody to check every box.
Yeah. So.
Honestly, but you've also epitomized the same thing, right? Like you're able to have these goals or these ambitions and then achieve them. Like this is a perfect example. Months ago, you were like, dude, I'm really thinking about like starting a little like talk show, maybe podcast type deal. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then sure enough, you're like, it's real. It's happening.
Well, I mean, and talking to people like, this is why I wanted to do it. Like, I hope that it catches on and the public wants to hear more of this, but like I'm sitting here with you and learning all these fascinating things that I want to dig down deep to. I mean, there's not a couple, there's a lot of things we haven't gotten into. I'm looking at my list. Like, I mean, lake life. I mean, I'm just going to throw out real quick, like your parents owned IV Market for all you locals or UCSB Gauchos, go Gauchos. You guys know what IV Market is. And the hobbies and travel adventures that you and I have shared, or the interests that you and I have shared together. But one of the funniest things I think about, because you're just being like an athletic dude, a health and fitness guy, and then you've been dating Jordan, who's essentially your high school sweetheart. And I know you guys aren't very fond of the high school sweetheart thing.
No, I mean,
but it is. I think it's an amazing story.
Yeah,
but
I've loved Jordan for a long time.
What I'm going to here is, Jordan is also got 4 gnarly brothers.
Yes.
And like here comes Brandon, who are like pretty much now your brothers. But
oh yeah.
How has that been? Or has it been so long that it's just been part of your life?
So,
because I do want to touch on that, because like you're dating a girl. My sister has 4 older brothers, and I'm one of them. So I'm on the opposite end.
So yeah, I mean, I was born one of 2 children. My older sister, her and I are close. We have a great relationship. She's awesome. She got all the talents that I didn't get at all. She's crazy artistic. And it was great growing up with her. And I think actually we've become more close in adulthood than we were as children. But coming into Jordan's family, and mind you, I met Jordan when we were 15, right? Her youngest brother, Tyler, is 13. I met Tyler like 2 days after his birth, right? So Tyler does not remember a time where I was not in the picture, right? Jordan's family, her brothers, have just been so embracing and so awesome, and we share a lot of common interests, right? They're a lot like you and me. And it's been great, and I've become so close with them that now and because of the time period, right, all these years, now it's hard for me to recall a time where they weren't in my life and where they didn't play a pivotal role. Now at this point, I can turn to any of the 4 of them and, kind of spill everything, right, and back and forth. And since Kellen has started working here, it's been really awesome to communicate with him about his goals, his ambitions. He is so hardworking. He works here, he works for us, and then he, at the same time, he was working at Creekside managing the bar, and he's so driven. All I can say is that her family is great. Her brothers are my brothers by marriage, but now at this point, like when we are out and about, it's funny because Kellen and I look pretty similar. So people will be like, "Oh, you 2 are definitely brothers," and him and I both just nod. We go, "Yeah, we're brothers," because we are. So I love her family. The support that they've showed me has been nothing but incredible.
Man, I love this, and this is exactly why I set out to do this show. It wasn't to be. I didn't quite know exactly how I wanted it to be laid out, but just to hear the people that are running businesses and doing things in Santa Barbara and hear their real life situations, what's going on in their life, who they are as people. Like, I'm fortunate enough to know you. I'm getting to know you better and better every day. I hope that continues.
Oh yeah, it will.
I know we got to draw this to an end here. Real quick, is there anything that you want to add, or what could we expect in the future with Procovry, Voli, Brandon, personally, professionally, anything on top of your mind that you want to throw out there? Anything you got coming? I mean, we talked about Voli. You got some new flavors coming out. That's going to continue to grow.
Oh, I mean, I have this. I hope that one day I'll be able to just look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm done. But like I have this it's inside of me, and I have this ambition and drive to continue to grow. My grandma Pat, who's been a mentor in my life forever, growing up, she would always look at me and she would say, and I was one of the youngest grandchildren. There's one more below me. And she would always say that there's something about you that I see in myself. And she would say that to her, life is a game. And if you play it like a game, it's all about putting pieces together to then grow and grow and grow. We could be cliche and we could call it Monopoly, right?
Yeah.
And my grandma Pat would always say, just as long as you keep putting the pieces together and you keep moving forward every day, you're going to build a legacy, right? You're going to build something beautiful. And I know that with my team and the people that are surrounding me, the people that I love and the people that love me, I mean, sky's the limit, man. I see Procovry. I think we have built something that can be franchisable. I really do. I think that we've created something that's innovative, it's effective, it's desirable amongst not only Santa Barbara's community, but I think it could excel in other communities. And I think with Voli, we found a niche that is something that a lot of people have been searching for and hasn't been readily available on the market. So ideally, with Voli, we continue to create, products that are catered towards not just the gym and fitness community, but the everyday individual, the weekend warrior, the people that just want to live an active lifestyle. Like you said, you don't want to be big and massive anymore. You just want to be functional.
Yeah.
So if we can create products that are kind of catered towards that demographic, towards people that just want to live a healthier, balanced lifestyle, then I think that we can continue to grow and excel in that way. And Procovry and Voli are symbiotic in that sense, where the overall goal is to create a healthier, happier human being that can just pursue their passions. So, when you say, what's the plan for Procovry, maybe there's hundreds, maybe there's one more, maybe this is the only one. I really think that we can expand it. I think that we could grow it, exponentially. And when it comes to Voli, the same thing could be said. I really think that we are working towards a supplement for the vast majority rather than just the one niche, gym goer type individual.
Man, I love it. I love the pre-active aside from pre-workout. I love everything you're doing professionally. I can't wait to see it all grow. I think there's great things to come. I will tell you, outside of just sitting back and watching you and what's to come on your professional side, I hope personally we continue to grow our relationship. I know we will.
We will. Yeah.
And we have so much more to do in both of our lives.
100%.
And I can't wait for what the future holds. We're definitely gonna have more of these episodes, dude. This has been epic. We're in these amazing chairs.
I love it.
We're getting massage. We're getting massages.
Can't complain. And we just timed out like just now.
And I'm just gonna say again, thanks for sitting down with me and Toast to Coast.
Thanks for being here.
Please, we're gonna post here on the video down low where you can find Brandon both at Procovry and Voli. You guys know where to find me. I hope you're finding value in this. We're gonna keep having fun. We're gonna keep living life, and we're gonna keep excelling and helping people in our careers, both health and fitness, me through finance, real estate, development, all those great things. So we love Santa Barbara. We're here to stay, and cheers, man.
Awesome, dude.
Let's keep it doing.
If I wasn't wearing these boots, I'd give you a hug right now.
Thanks for being here, buddy.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Cheers to the good times.
Yeah.
All right. Peace out, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
Awesome.
Thank you.